Hey, welcome. So, have you ever just felt that the words we use, words like state or nation, don't quite get the job done when we talk about how the world is organized? If that's you, then you are in the right spot. Today, we're going to unlock a much more powerful way to see the past, the present, and even the future of global politics. Let's kick things off by looking at the words we're all stuck with. No, really, just take a second. You probably thought of stuff like countries, states, nations, right? And on the surface, that seems pretty straightforward. But the way we actually use these words, well, it's a bit of a mess. And this slide just nails the problem perfectly. If you're in the US, a state is a part of the country, like Michigan. But on the world stage, a state is the country, like Mexico. We talk about the United Nations, but a nation is often a group of people, like the Kurds, who might not even have their own state. It's super confusing, and you know what? This confusion actually has some big consequences. Right. When we only look for states as the main characters in the story of the world, we get trapped in something called state centrism. Honestly, it's like trying to understand a whole ecosystem by only studying the lions. You'd miss the elephants, the rivers, the insects. You'd miss pretty much everything else that makes the whole system tick. And that can seriously warp how we see both history and what's happening today. So, what if there was one term that could just slice right through all that confusion? A single idea that lets us see all the key players on the board, from an ancient empire to a modern tech giant? Well, you're in luck. There is. So let's get right into it. In this first part, we're going to break down what exactly a polity is and why it's such a game-changing concept. Okay, at its heart, a polity is just the umbrella term for any basic political group. It's the master category. This could be a tiny band of nomads, an ancient city, a global superpower, you name it. It's a really simple but incredibly flexible idea. Now this right here, this is the analogy that makes it all just click into place. A car is a specific type of vehicle, right? But so is a bus and a motorcycle and a truck. Well, in the exact same way, a modern state is just one type of polity. The world is absolutely full of other kinds of political vehicles. So what makes something a polity? Well, two academics, Ferguson and Mansbach, gave us this fantastic three-part checklist. First, there has to be a sense of we-ness, a feeling of us. Second, it's got to be able to mobilize resources, gather people or money to get stuff done. And third, it needs some kind of institutional structure, some way of organizing itself. Okay, so now that we've got our new lens, let's put it on and take a look back at history. I promise you, you're going to see a world that is so much more diverse and fascinating than one just filled with states. Think of this semantic tree as our roadmap. See, way up at the top, you've got individuals. They group together to form political units. And as you can see, polity is that central branch, that master concept, that helps us organize all the different forms they've taken, from bands and tribes all the way to empires and what we call non-state agents. For tens of thousands of years, for the vast majority of human history, this was it. The hunter-gatherer band. Small nomadic groups, maybe 20 to 200 people. This was the only kind of polity on the entire planet. Thinking in terms of polities lets us see that reality clearly instead of just skipping ahead to the first so-called states. And from those small bands, a whole garden of different polities just bloomed over time. We start to see tribes led by these influential big men, and then more structured chiefdoms with hereditary leaders, the famous city-states in Mesopotamia, and of course, massive, sprawling empires. As you can see here, each one is its own distinct type of polity, not just some kind of failed or early state. And I love this quote. It's such a great reminder that polities aren't just about the big names at the top, like Caesar. They're these incredibly complex systems made up of countless people and structures. Cooks, soldiers, farmers, everybody playing a part. The polity is a structure that holds all of them together. Okay, so thinking about all this historical diversity, it leads us straight into a huge debate in the world of international relations. Let's dig into it. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Over time, does all the competition and interaction in the world force every political group to start looking and acting the same? Or does that diversity stick around? This table lays out the clash of ideas perfectly. So on one side, you have thinkers like Waltz who say, yes, absolutely. The pressure of a competitive system forces everyone to become similar just to survive.
But then, others like Buzan and Little push back and say, well, it's complicated. It was true for hunter-gatherer bands, and it's mostly true for modern states. But what about those 5,000 years in between? We saw incredible diversity then. And then you have Phillips and Sharman arguing that even today, this diversity is durable. It sticks around for a very, very long time.
So this is all great, but here's the crucial question. How does this help us understand our world right now? Let's bring this whole idea into the 21st century. Okay, just look at this comparison for a second. A classic empire had a powerful center controlling all these different territories. Now, think about a massive global corporation. It has a central headquarters with dependent supply chains and markets all over the planet, and it has very different contracts and relationships with each part. The underlying logic is strikingly similar. That corporation is acting like a polity with imperial dynamics. And that brings us to another one of these messy terms we throw around all the time: non-state actors. I mean, just think about that for a second. That's like calling a motorcycle a non-car. We're defining these incredibly powerful groups by what they aren't instead of focusing on what they actually are. And this just makes the point so clearly. Kinship networks, powerful international organizations, massive corporations like today's tech giants, and influential NGOs like Amnesty International. These aren't just non-states. They are powerful polities in their own right. They have a sense of we-ness, they mobilize huge amounts of resources, and they have clear structures. They are major, major players on the world stage. So look, if you remember one thing from all this, let it be this. The moment you shift your focus from looking for just states to looking for polities, the world map of power suddenly becomes so much richer, more detailed, and frankly, a whole lot more accurate. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. We're living in an age of global tech giants, decentralized online communities, and transnational movements. So we have to ask ourselves, what new kinds of polities are being born right now, right before our eyes? The world never stops changing, and now you have the right word to describe it.